Calafiori has been one of the best centre-backs at the Euros this summer, and Arsenal are willing to break the bank to sign him from Bologna. In this video, we're going to be diving into the profile of Riccardo Calafiori, why Arsenal want him, why Arsenal are prioritizing to sign him over Maguire and Fadi Kadioglu, all players that we've been linked with at left-back. And also, most importantly, according to many pundits in the Euros in Germany, he is better than William Saliba. So let me know in the comment box below. You've watched him for Italy, you've watched him at the Euros. Is he better than William Saliba? He's one of the highly sought after centre-backs in world football. Juventus want him, Chelsea wants him, Arsenal wants him, and Liverpool wants him too. And all these clubs are willing to splash the cash on this guy. He's a very, very advanced, high-level, centre-back. So who is Riccardo Calafiori? I think that's one of the questions that many people have been asking. Riccardo Calafiori is a young Italian centre-back, ball-playing centre-back, playing at Bologna. His market value is 35 million euros. He's only 22 and is playing at left-back, stroke left centre-back. He's one of the players that have the ability to drive the ball, to drive on the ball through the midfield, just like a left back, just like you see Julian Timber. His ability to drive with the ball is absolutely insane, and that actually comes out when in the game they played against Croatia. He drove through the midfield, assisting Mattia Zaccagni that one goal that allowed Italy to go through to the round of 16, although they were eliminated in a game which he didn't play. So why are Arsenal really much interested in this guy? What are the qualities that make him different? And why is Bologna set to make a lot of money from selling him? Now, the first thing that stands out about Riccardo Calafiori is his dribbling and his ability on the ball. So we've looked at a couple of players that have very, very insane abilities on the ball. Julian Timber at Arsenal, that's one of them. Lisandro Martinez at Manchester United, that is the other. And obviously, Gabriel and Saliba also have got that little bit of ability on the ball. But when we talk about Riccardo Calafiori's ability on the ball, it would absolutely drive this Arsenal side insane. It would make this Arsenal side massively better. One of the problems Arsenal faced last season was the problem of mid-blocks. Clubs, really just playing that mid-block, making it very difficult for Arsenal to get in behind, making sure that they're not sitting in a low block, but they're defending from midway high of the pitch. Now, one of the ways we can actually beat a mid-block is using a player like Riccardo Calafiori. He's got the ability to just drive with the ball. He's fearless. He doesn't really care. He doesn't mind who is in front of him. He's going to drive with the ball, and eventually he's going to bypass a couple of players. And one thing we saw, in one game in which we saw this was against Italy versus Croatia. Croatia, of course, have a couple of midfielders. They have a very, very good midfield. And what Calafiori did for them to score, he literally picks up the ball in defense and just drives through the midfield. The likes of Kovacic, he bypasses them. The likes of Modric, he bypasses them. And then, he's able to drive that ball into the final layer of Croatia's defense, where the likes of Matteo Zaccagni is, where the likes of Chiesa are, and that is how the goal comes about. So with Arsenal, I think his dribbling would be very, very appreciated, given the fact that our midfield doesn't have many dribblers, and the players that can dribble, like Emil Smith-Rowe, that we have in the team, actually don't play that much. When you think about Arsenal's players, especially in possession, Zinchenko doesn't dribble, Saliba doesn't dribble, and Gabriel doesn't dribble as well. Of course, it comes from the fact that Mikel Arteta doesn't want many of his defenders to actually be dribbling. But even when you think about the midfield, Declan Rice is a brave player. He can dribble, but at Arsenal, he doesn't dribble that much. So Calafiori, especially when we play teams that set up in a mid-block, he would be a massive asset to Mikel Arteta in bypassing mid-blocks, of Aston Villa, of clubs like Bayern and clubs like Fulham as well. But then he's got more than dribbling. He's got a lot more than dribbling. He's a very attack-minded player who's played at left back and is played at left wing back as well. So his versatility would come in handy. It's one of the reasons why many managers actually want to sign him. Now, I think with centre backs these days, it is also one of those roles that are changing in football. We have seen Josko Gvardiol, we have seen Nathan Ake. There is an admiration for a centre-back who can be attack-minded, an admiration for a centre-back who can go and just, create attacks, and a centre-back can go and just, change the game. Josko Gvardiol last season was a very good example, but not only him. Also, Ben White at Arsenal was a fantastic example of a player who can just, transform from a centre-back to a right-back to an attack minded player. Last season, of course, Ben White was one of the top creators in this Arsenal team. He was overlapping a lot, he was underlapping a lot, on that right hand side. And I think that is why Mikel Arteta is interested in getting a player like Riccardo Calafiori at Arsenal. The one thing you would get from him, despite the fact that he's a centre back, he's going to drive, and he's going to overlap over Gabriel Martinelli. So one thing Martinelli didn't have last season was a support from, a support left back, a support left central midfielder, and I think that's what we're going to work on this summer. I feel like that is what Arsenal are trying to work on next season, to have two parts of the pitch really working well, so that when one part doesn't work, the other part works well. We've seen it with Spain under Del Fuente. Lamine Yamal, of course, on the other side, really working very, very well with the likes of Pedri, with the likes of Dani Olmo. And when you switch it to the left-hand side, you have Nico Williams working well with the left 8 in Fabian Ruiz, with the support, of course, with the support of Lodri. So I think that is what Mikel Arteta will want to work on. Can we have Declan Rice support Gabriel Martinelli, and then a player that bombs forward and just allows Gabriel Martinelli, to come inside, a player like Riccardo Calafiori. So don't be surprised if we bring him in and then he plays as a left back rather than, a centre back, because he's played there before. So his ability to invert and his ability to overlap and and underlap is one of the things that Mikel Arteta is really interested in. Now, for centre backs these days, one of the qualities you must have, especially when you play in a system that plays a high line like Arsenal's, we really dominate and suffocate teams at the expense of us playing a high line. And that's why you see Saliba is always in the half of the opponent, Gabriel is in the half of the opponent, and that means that we are susceptible to counter-attacks. Maybe we are susceptible until we get Riccardo Calafiori. Now, Riccardo Calafiori, one of the things that I like about him, this might not be a reason for Mikel Arteta to go for him, I don't know, his ability to recover at a very terrific pace, terrific pace. Now, for Italy, he's actually played alongside Dimarco, and Dimarco really bombs up the pitch. Like, Dimarco just doesn't care. He's going to go up there. He's going to create a lot of chances. He's one of the key creative, passages for Italy. When you play alongside a player like Dimarco and your Calafiori, you're going to push up. Dimarco is going to push up, and that means that the left-hand side is going to have a lot of space to be explored, a lot of space to be exposed, and it is exposed. But Riccardo Calafiori has got that ability to just run back and cover for Dimarco, run back and track back when he's not there. Now that is something that we don't have in Alexander Zinchenko. That is something that we do not have in many of the players that have actually played at left back for Arsenal. You look at Zinchenko, he's very good at going forward, coming into the midfield, underlapping, creating that box midfield as well, and even coming into advanced areas to create, good chances and help Arsenal in terms of scoring goals. But when it comes to defending, when it comes to the defensive part of the game, Zinchenko is a big liability. He doesn't have the pace that Calafiori has, and he doesn't have the defensive mindset of a centre-back that Calafiori has, and that makes him to stand out as compared to Julian Timber, again, who is not left-footed. That means that he wouldn't give you, the overlap that Martinelli needs. Zinchenko, who doesn't give you the defensive assurance, and Jakub Kiwior and Tomiyasu, they are basically not left backs. Like, yes, we would love to have them, we would love to play them in one game or two, but then they're not left backs, and regardless of how you see them, they're just not left back. So Riccardo Calafiori's pace and speed is one of the reasons, again, why Arsenal will benefit from his signing, and why, for me, here he can play in more positions in this Arsenal side as compared to players like William Saliba, as compared to players like Gabriel, as compared to players like Tomiyasu as well. So he's also an intelligent and brave player. I think when you think about a centre back just creating chances for Italy, he's one of the players that have been really creative for Bologna and also really creative for Italy as well. That tells you much about his game. He's intelligent, he is brave, he goes forward, he tries to create chances, he tries to make things happen. You even see players like Jorginho in midfield, intelligent footballer, creating things and making things happen from deep. And that's also what Arsenal get from Calafiori. And the fact that we don't have a dedicated goal scorer, Arsenal need to create as many chances in order to feed Odegaard, Trossard, Saka, Martinelli, in order to make sure that by the end of the season, we have at least 10 goals scored by each of the forward players. So the creativity must go up. We can't look at only Martin Odegaard as the creative player. So the other creative player in this Arsenal team would be Riccardo Calafiori. And again, it's one of the things I love about him. I love a brave centre back. I love a player that can, just take things in his own hands and go and create. It doesn't really happen often. And I think eventually Mikel Arteta will have to think about, what changes does he actually make, right? If you bring in a player like Calafiori, brave centre back, is gonna bomb forward. How do you cover for that? But for me, he's an intelligent footballer, a brave footballer that Arsenal would 100% enjoy having in the team. Now, we've talked about his game going forward, and we've talked about him, in possession. What about defensively? What do Arsenal get from Riccardo Calafiori if we are not in possession? Well, again, Mikel Arteta might have found his best centre-back, and this could be one of the reasons why Italian pundits are saying he's better than William Saliba, because his game in possession is quite insane, and his game out of possession is also quite insane as well. The first thing is that he plays really, really in a high line, but he's got the pace to recover when, and I've talked about this, he's got the pace to recover in a high line. So when you play a high line, there are three things that you must have. One, you must have the ability and the speed to, recover when the ball is lost. Secondly, you must be very good in possession, because anytime you lose the ball in a high line, you're going to be exposed. We saw that with Spain when they were playing Croatia in the round of 16 at the Euros. Spain were really good in possession, but every time they lost the ball, Croatia started a marathon, and you actually don't want that. So Riccardo Calafiori defensively, he's got that pace to cover. He's got that pace to, eat up the grass, eat up the ground. And again, Arsenal would actually benefit from that very, very much. Secondly, and this is something that I really hope he can actually bring to Arsenal, a left back who is very good in the air. So Julian Timber is not good in the air, and so is Alexander Zinchenko. Like I said, Tomiyasu and Kivio, I don't really see them as left backs. They don't give you that left back vibe of a player. So imagine having Saliba good in the air, Gabriel good in the air, and White good in the air as well. And then you add a left-sided defender who is also very good in the air. Riccardo Calafiori is a tall player. He's a dominant player. You're not going to bully him, aerially. You're not going to bully him, off the ball. And he might score a couple of goals for Arsenal the other way, especially when we go into corners and dead ball situations. So that is one thing that he can help us with. Defensively, he can add to the number of players that are tall enough, the number of bodies that are tall enough in that Arsenal penalty area to deal with crosses, to deal with corners, to deal with dead ball situations. Remember last season, Arsenal was one of the clubs that conceded very few goals in terms of set pieces, and that came from the fact that slowly but surely, Mikel Arteta is making his team bigger and bigger and bigger. Let's talk about 1v1 situations, because the best 1v1 defender at Arsenal is Julian Timber. And I'm not going to lie, he's not better than Timber in 1v1 situations. Timber is ruthless. Timber is insane in 1v1 situations. He doesn't take any nonsense. He's gonna carry you out of the pitch. He's going to carry you off the pitch. But in 1v1 situations, on top of having such a complete profile, this boy and this guy is insane in 1v1 situations. So we are talking Arsenal going against the Mo Salah. You saw what Mo Salah did to Alexander Zinchenko. I was pissed last season because Mikel Arteta playing Alexander Zinchenko against Mo Salah. Mo Salah gets a chance. He literally just walks past Zinchenko and scores. And again, Mohamed Kudus against Alexander Zinchenko in the Carabao Cup. He walks past Zinchenko and he scores. We must stop playing Zinchenko in games where where teams have very good wingers. Against Mitoma, you don't play Zinchenko. Against Moussa Diaby, Leon Bailey, Mo Salah, Luis Diaz, all these, Jeremy Doku, all these players, they are going to absolutely kill Alexander Zinchenko. So Riccardo Calafiori's defensive ability in 1v1 situations, like defender trying to take on an attacker trying to take on a defender, he is going to win many of those duels. He's strong, he's intelligent, he's clever, and he's also very, very quick. So that is another reason for Arsenal to really think about this Riccardo Calafiori signing as a very, very good deal. But of course, he's a young centre-back, so he's got a few weaknesses to his game, and let's talk about them. The first thing, obviously, is that he's still very, very raw. He's just 22, and he's going to make a lot of mistakes, still making a lot of mistakes. As a centre-back that is actually, good on the ball, it means that he's going to leave space in behind, and he's going to have to be covered. Fortunately for Arsenal, we have a player like Declan Rice who's got the pace and the ball-winning ability, and I think the IQ and awareness to know that a player like Calafiori is out of possession. Let me go and cover for him. So he's still very young. He loses the ball a lot because of those powerful driving runs in the middle, and of course he's ambitious. When you're ambitious, whether you're a midfielder, an attacker, or a defender, or a goalkeeper, you're going to give away the ball a lot of the time because you're going to try to do something that other players are actually not doing. So Riccardo Calafiori, complete defender from Italy. If Arsenal could get him for around 50 million euros to 55 million euros, that would be a completely very, very good deal.